we're probably going to have to go back to my formative years when I was a kid and in Japan flying beetles on strings as they flew around. I always liked biology and I always enjoyed animals and not so much plants, but basically it started off with animals and it started with bugs and with mammals. And then that branched out. I would probably say my 8th grade field project for biology was an insect collection and got into the field part at that point. So then when I got over to college level, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I always liked biology, but catching lizards and everything else all the time. But it was a hobby. It wasn't a career that I thought of. And I was a criminal justice major until I took natural history at American River College by a guy named Bruce Swinehart. And I was done. I was a biology major at that point. Hooked up with Gene Trapp at Sac State, who took me out in the field to do ringtails. Hooked on ringtails at that point, and I've continued on with my education in California State University, Sacramento in biology, and here I am, a biologist. In fact, after I finished my bachelor's degree, I was trying to figure out what to do for my master's, and Gene being the ringtail guy, of course ringtail was in there, and I was pretty sure I was going to do ringtail. I mean, I was pretty definite, but I needed to look at other organisms, see if I would ever regret it. So I looked at river otters, I looked at spotted skunks, I looked at American badger as something else to work on. And I have a lot of interest, but it ended up coming back to ringtails, and they've been part of my life since 1985. Ringtails, I mean, they are absolutely charismatic organisms. Well, ringtails are a fully protected mammal in the state of California. As a result, there's a need for management data, and especially understanding how management can actually operate with ringtails. And there are so few of us that actually are permitted to work with them. There's probably, right now in the United States, there's maybe a dozen people working with ringtails. And it always is startling to me because it's not that it's an ugly organism, it's constantly biting you or something like that. I mean, they're very mellow and they're very charismatic. I think just people don't recognize that the small mesocarnivores are out there and they don't look at them very often. So that also drives me. And also, I want to make sure ringtails stick around. And if we don't know anything about them, then they have higher risk of disappearing. Hi, I'm Dave Wyatt. I'm a professor of biology at Sacramento City College. I teach in the Field Ecology Certificate Program. And I've been here since 1998. And this is what I was meant to do. It is my dream position. I'm happy to get paid for it, but I also go, man, I can't believe they're paying me to do this. So I love the teaching part because I think teaching is as much performance art as it is conveyance of information. You can always read a textbook, but you know what? If I'm sitting there clowning around looking like a sage grouse on how they actually display, people remember that. And people also remember what sage grouse do. So I'm able to convey that information. And I really enjoy that aspect of it. I have generally about 15 field trips a semester in a 16-week semester. So I'm in seventh heaven, right? I get to take people out to the field and show them the marvels of what's out there. And generally if students are going to go out in the field with me, they understand there's going to be mud, there's going to be mosquitoes, there's going to be sunburn, but let's make it also an educational experience and fun times. And there's nothing better to me than to sit there and point out things that are in the wild. And I call it biological attention deficit disorder, or BAD for short, because anytime anything flies by, it's like, oh, look at that. Oh, check this out. Oh my gosh, look at this. And it makes for a very fast-paced but enjoyable excursion that you all of a sudden go, wow, I've been out there for 8 hours. Didn't even really notice it. That's a classroom. That is a classroom for you. In college, you have a choice to learn. I am not obligated to force feed it to you, and I feel if I'm obligated to force feed it to anyone, they're going to resent it potentially. I want you to come freely to this idea that, holy mackerel, I've been an English major, history major, economics major, whatever, and going, I really like this. And to actually open their eyes to this subject and decide, I want to pursue this. I mean, I went from criminal justice to biology. So the community colleges offer that opportunity to explore. If you're going to spend 30 years doing something in your career, do something you at least like. And if you are so fortunate to be able to get a job that you love, oh man, that's the best, okay? And that's why every day I'm going, holy mackerel, they pay me to do this. Coming from a professional biology background, colleges will teach you a lot of good academic learning. I mean, it's great. But they don't have as much practical learning of going out in the field. And I think this is sort of a function of the risk management aspect. There's a lot of aversion to risk because colleges, universities are self-insured and the money comes out of their budgets if there is a lawsuit of any sort. So there's a lot of aversion to the field experience. But it leads to people graduating with bachelor's degrees and have no idea what to expect in the field. And in the past, we used to have more jobs than graduates. That's not the reality now. We have more graduates than we have jobs. So you have to set yourself apart. And I recognize that the way you set yourself apart is having field experience. And the community college system allows you to have technical vocational instruction, which is not available in the University of California or the CSU. So as a result, we were able to create a tech voc program in training new biologists and giving them a taste of all these different aspects, at which point they can then run with it as they go for their bachelor's degree and get even more expertise. And frankly, it makes our students eminently more hireable. I mean, my dad was an orphan, my mom was from Japan, so I have no relatives here. They're both passed away, so I don't have any blood relatives here. And my family is my professional school family, and I love hanging out with them. And I would do it all the time if I could. I never tire of hanging out with people, especially people that I care about. And I regard most of the people that I encounter as some level of family. So I love the fact that there's a legacy of people that can carry on a lot of, I put a lot of my personality into my teaching, and that personality has rubbed off on them and they carry some of that on. It's like having kids, right?